Venus, what are you? Are you cosplaying as anything? And if you are, what is it?
No, I'm not cosplaying today.
Okay.
I'm not cosplaying today. I'm wearing a traditional hanbok. Of course, without the royal patches around it. I made this myself, inspired by the Netflix series Kingdom. So yeah, I am a fan of cultural attires. So Korean today.
Sugoi. All right. So. Okay. All right. Papakei now.
Hey, what's up, guys? So what I'm cosplaying? Okay, so it's I'm just gonna be like really straightforward that I actually messed up my wig. So technically, right now my cosplay is Saint George from FGO cosplaying as Iskandar from FGO cosplaying as Raver from FGO.
Wow.
It's like three separate layers right there.
Brain.
This is the levels of cosplay we want to achieve. You know, three.
This is creativity.
No, I just want to have some fun, cheer up, everybody.
All right. Okay, so we apologize for a bit of the technical errors there. I think we can actually start into the session today. So, Pudds, who will be reading out the questions this time? Will it be me? Will it be you? Will it be Damon?
It will be Cliff. Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Just bring it on.
All right. So, in this case, once again, for everyone who's wondering, this is basically a panel where we receive confessions from public or submissions, not really confessions. We're not some cheap Facebook college page.
All right.
But either way, we've received these submissions from our Facebook page a few days ago, I believe, up throughout before today, basically. So these questions are directed towards our guests, and they will give their opinions on this, and however, whatever opinions and answers they have, right? So our first question for today, very simple one, and this is directed to all of our guests today. Just take turns in answering them. So it is. Here's a question. I would love to start cosplaying, but could neither find the time nor motivation to do so. Any advice on how to start cosplaying? So, who wants to answer this question first? Anyone? Yeah, I'm going. Okay, okay. Here we have Pudds. I'm gonna prompt Pudds, please.
Very easy. This is not sponsored, and this is not an ad. Taobao.com.
Wow.
Okay.
Direct to the point.
Let's get a bit of a different opinion instead of Taobao. Venus, how about you? What's your opinion on this?
So basically, the sender say that no time, no motivation, but wants to cosplay. Macam tak tally tau. No motivation but want to cosplay, how okay lor, Taobao.com lor, or what's that? Lazada, Shopee. Okay, jokes aside, how to get motivation? Basically, look for something that you really like. Like yesterday, I just completed watching One Punch Man season 2. Yeah, so I really like Fubuki, so I might do it again. Yeah, so do something, catch up with activities that might inspire you to do something about it. And you don't have to rush to finish it over the weekend, like most of the cosplay do. Take your time to do it. We won't be having any events soon, so yeah, take your time to do it.
Okay, Papakei, what about you?
Me? Okay, wow. Okay, so the most uncosplay guy around here, the first thing I could say is, okay, do you have like something in mind that you want to do? That's like one thing you have to consider. So let's say like I use myself as an example. Usually what my cosplays are like really, really straightforward and simple ones. To the point that if you all know the page Low Cost Cosplay, that's my inspiration. But I don't go to that level, of course, right? So
don't use the body part, please.
No. True, I'm not gonna use that. But start with something simple to get yourself into the momentum. I think that's one way to think about it. So once you actually start and you feel like, okay, I like this kind of feeling of being in a costume and stuff like that, then you slowly strive to do something more and more. Then I think the motivation comes slowly later. If you feel like you really want to do something, but you're not sure if you can do or not. So best is, I would just say, just start. Taobao or not, Lazada or not. Even, what's that shop? That little
Mr. DIY?
decoration shop. Mr. DIY is actually a secret weapon for a lot of cosplayers. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm like breaking like true. I'm like that dude that does the magic reveal thing. DIY is actually super good. DIY, JJJ, Daiso. So yeah. So just find something simple and start. Yeah.
Great, awesome. Okay, so I think for the grand finale, Rikka, please, what's your opinion on this?
When I heard the question, I was also like, no time and no motivation. This is hard. Because
for myself, right, I need a lot of motivation to actually do something. So like I always do things that I like. I find it very hard to start if I'm not really into it lah. Like I have a costume that's been there for like 4 years and it's still half completed. Cry. But that aside, I agree with what Pudds said. Like if you don't have the time and you don't really want to make something, you can actually just buy it and then maybe slowly find your motivation from there. But another way of doing it, I think, is also like you can actually follow some cosplays on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. You might see like some really interesting tutorials, like for makeup. That's where maybe you can find your motivation, like for makeup, or like some really cool DIY ideas. Like I personally really like Kazuko, like local cosplayer. She does really cool props from really unexpected things, like the foam boards that prevents little children from banging their heads on the edge, things like that. So I think you can follow tutorials, follow some cosplayers. Perhaps that's where you can find your motivation back. Hope it helps.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that's for me. Yeah.
Okay, that's I think from all these different opinions on how, whether it's Taobao or Lazada or making yourself or Mr. DIY, it's all just to get yourself into cosplay. The first and foremost, I think that's a good idea. Right. So Damon asks, why don't you ask them the next question?
Okay. Let's see. What is your go-to routine to prep for a new cos plan? And what is your usual budget for a cosplay?
This is another hard question.
Okay, I'll pick someone to go first. Let's go for Papakei.
Wow, I think this is like the wrong person to answer this, but so just to confirm the question again, it's like, how do you actually have a routine to plan and do a cosplay? Was that it? So sorry if I'm like
something like that. What's the routine?
Yeah, okay.
What's the routine to prep a cosplay? Like
routine
a new cosplay.
to prep a cosplay. So routine to prep a cosplay. Me, the whole thing is I set a plan, like something I want to do. Then like, okay, do I really want to do this? I give myself like a week or so to think about it. Do I really want to do it? And then after from there, budgeting wise, I would not really that keen in the whole thing, but then I would say like budgeting wise is I myself would use probably very, very little, probably at maximum. I think like my most expensive cosplay was like 80, I think. That's how low cost I am. And then just make sure that you know where to find your cloth. It doesn't have to be somewhere like, I think I have to always find it online or somewhere. Some people actually do that. Your local cloth store, like your Kamda, they have a lot of good cloths. Color choices are very good, so you can take a look at there. And yeah, I think like mostly it's just first set up what you really want to do. Ask yourself if you really, really want to do. Then you can either like how much of a commitment you want. Do you want like something that's very, very good? Then you take a lot of time. You'll take a lot of effort also. And planning is super important. But just don't discount those shops that are actually nearby you. You might be really surprised that your local shops have a lot of good materials that you can use. Yeah, so I think that's what I can say lah. I don't know. I keep getting thinking about this, but yeah, I think the others would give way, way better answers than I do lah. Just sing my two kupang.
Okay, let's move on to Rikka.
Okay. Usually my go-to routine would be start panicking first. Like seriously, just start moaning. But I think like first of all is I'll collect reference photos, like reference photos of the characters, front, back, side, an overall image, and then I would actually go to look at other cosplayers who've done it before, because like there's a very big expectation and reality between 2D images and 3D images. So for example, some like material might look very nice, like very very glossy materials maybe on screen, but when you actually put it on fabric, it may not actually look that nice. So it's really kind of like it depends. There's always the accuracy for some, but for some also, like I would consider like where I would want to shoot it and what kind of color and lighting I would want to shoot it under. And also like event lighting as well, I would also take that into consideration. So that would actually decide my fabric choices as well, or also my armor coloring choices. So that's one thing I would think about. So reference photos from 2D and also from 3D. Then draft it out on pattern, or if you really don't have the time, go look for a good tailor. Then go look for your cloth, your materials, like get choices, and then seek for advice. I usually have a group of friends I like to discuss this with, like, what do you think? Like just like randomly, like isn't a no pressure thing. Like whoever's free will talk about it. Then after that, then start making it, and or start commission someone to make it. Then that's my go-to routine, I think. There was the second question, right? I forgot.
Yeah. How much is your usual budget?
Right. This one is, I'm so biased. So like, if for characters that I really like, I would spend a bit more. But if for like, sometimes maybe like if I'm doing a cosplay more for a job, if it's like just a photo job and not like an event job, I may jimat skit.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, so budget, it really depends on the costume, I would say. So like if it's like a school uniform, obviously it's going to be a lot cheaper. Maybe like you can get it under 100, even under 80. Yeah, that's totally possible. But if you're doing like if you're doing like printed bodysuits, or you're doing like a very big gown, that's gonna be like way more. That can cost
a bit.
Yeah. I was really into like Wobla like a few years ago. I spent so much, and I have so much regrets also, to be fair. Because actually, if you look at different materials, a lot of things are achievable with cheaper materials, definitely. So yeah, explore a bit lah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to hear. All right, I think Venus, how about you?
I think most of the stuff has been covered by Rikka, but for me, because I don't have as much time as many cosplayers out there right now, when there's but one thing we share, right, I think a lot of us have like a long list of characters that we want to cosplay, right? So what I do is I really think, do I really want to do this? So I start arranging according to priority, like how much time can I spend on it. I'm a bit lucky because I run a costuming shop, so most of the time I have remnant fabric. So sometimes my priority goes on what kind of remnant fabric I have. So sometimes my costume can go up to 30 ringgit. But for things that is more, I have some pet peeves when it comes to traditional attire. I'm a bit focusing on the details. I want it to be as accurate as possible. So for projects like that, it's usually more expensive in sourcing the right material, the right lace, and sometimes the printing, and you pay your AI designer to trace some pattern. So same thing, it depends on how much you love the project. So if I really love it, I will spend.
Yeah.
But it also means that maybe it's like a 1-2 project per year lah.
Yeah.
So that is that. And then the rest I think is pretty much covered by Rikka already. If you can DIY yourself, hunt for material, compare price like an auntie. If you don't, then work with a tailor or a prop maker, But it's always good to start. Your first project might not look good, but eventually you improve. There's a lot of tutorial on YouTube.
Yep. Very good. Okay, Pudds, do you have any opinions on this?
Well,
Taobao.com.
Actually, to be fair, it's a totally valid solution,
Yeah.
It works.
I think it's always good to keep your budget as low as possible, because sometimes it's just good to not overspend, and also keep the savings in check. And one day sikit-sikit menjadi bukit, you can save some money. Just don't. So I think is this about my opinion now, or is it like
a little bit of your opinion on it, I guess?
On my experience, or
it's the same thing. Your experience crafts your opinion. So how do you feel about it?
Because I wrote down like another thing I was going to say.
Go ahead.
But anyways,
scripted answers.
Just now I was writing. Anyways,
Okay.
For me personally, if I want to do a cosplay, I will find the most cheapest way to do it, and I like to DIY like DIY, and the Y in DIY is WHY. A lot of like stress on myself to just get a cosplay because I enjoy that kind of like fight struggle, and once you're done with the project and you actually manage to do it, you feel like a really good sense of pride. I think that's one of the things like cosplayers also usually experience. Like after you're done with a project and you come and present it out and people like love it, and then you feel like so proud, feels good. Yeah, that kind of thing. So
Alright.
that's for me, and yeah.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I think that's it explains it quite well as always. Don't worry, guys. This is supposed to be a very chill session. You guys get in. Don't worry. The deeper questions will come later, the tougher questions. But for now, all cool. Tawa.com also can. But okay, so here's another question. I think this is a little bit more into what people feel, what generally the community, some of the community feels, are not all. So here's a question. I know that cosplay is meant to be fun and games, but sometimes I tend to feel sad whenever nobody takes a picture of me. It's as if I'm invisible to photographers. Is it bad that I feel this way? So I think for this, let's go with Rikka. Rikka first. Do you have an opinion?
Right. So I think there's a first to everything. So maybe the photographer is also shy. So technically you are both maybe strangers to each other. So it will take some time or some courage to actually ask you for a picture. I think cosplay is really about what you want from it in the end. So if it's fun to you, then make sure to keep it fun. Like don't try to find a balance. You can keep it fun, but if you're really bothered about not having pictures taken and such, perhaps you can actually start going around to get to know some photographers, like their page on Facebook, and maybe you can actually message them and say, oh, would you mind if we meet up for the next event to take a few photos at the events? And also photographers tend to camp at a place at events, and they're actually usually okay if you just step up to them and ask them for a picture. Most of the photographers I know are actually very, very shy, but I think it's also very important to not to find a balance, to not let it get to you too much. If you are too stressed about this kind of problems, that it makes it not so fun anymore, right? So try pluck up some courage, and maybe from there you make some friends as well, and from there you'll get to know more people, and definitely it'll be much more fun, and at least you won't regret asking, right? I think I don't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, one of it was when I first started out, so I didn't know anyone, and I was in an event alone, and I obviously had no friends to take pictures, etc. But I had fun because although I was lonely, I also felt lonely. But I walked around the booths and explored the shops they had, and I actually, because I was in cosplay, then one of the shop owners was like, "Oh, I really like this character." Then we took a few selfies together. Those kind of photos also make a lot of memories, and it makes me very happy. Yeah, and it makes me feel like people also appreciate the cosplay, although they are not make an impact. You can get to take the initiative to know people, or definitely you can wear more fancy costumes to events if you want to. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So next up, Venus. Have you any opinions on this?
Can I don't sugarcoat?
Sure.
Okay. Basically, well, okay, if you ask that question, I'm just gonna give you straight. Please don't bombard my page later. So fun and games, and you wanting people to take a photo of you. Maybe your perception of fun is having a lot of photographers to take your photos. So this is how the current committee works. I mean, as a cosplayer and as a photographer wants to take something interesting and nice as well. So when they post, they also have a lot of likes. So it's a give and take thing, win-win situation. So if you want to have your photos taken, let's put the fun games aside first. I would suggest you do something more popular, a favorite character, something, especially the guy cosplayer will feel most about this, having nobody to take their photos. For guys, mainly they will go for some armor character, big props, Iron Mans and stuff like that. Or go for something really fun like Kung Fu Hustle and all that.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
hell yeah.
have to
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
the market. I'm giving you it
Mm.
straight to you. You have to hit the market, hit what they want to shoot. So if it's about you cosplaying what you want, so you have to accept the fact that this is your choice of path. I want to cosplay what I
Mhm.
want.
Mm,
So
mm,
at the same
Mhm,
time,
mhm.
they also have their choice. I want to shoot what I want. See, get it? So you have to balance up what you want. It's not wrong if you want people to take your photo
Mhm.
and have a lot of like, then you can share, because at the end of the day you put so much effort, right? Of course you want some picture, right? But these are the path you need to go to, no? So depends which one you're okay with.
Okay. I think now we have let's have a question from maybe a differing opinion. So Papakei, what about you? What is your opinions on quote unquote not exactly being the attention of photographers, especially since Venus said that like this generally
Yeah.
affects guys more than girls, right?
Guys, yeah.
Mm.
So usually, when you say like guy cosplayers, right? Even though they do a lot of very awesome stuff, but I mean, yeah lah. I think the whole sugarcoating thing also applies to me, like, because I don't really like to. I like to be more straightforward. So, it's a bit.
Problem.
I'm not gonna attribute to that, because some people do really awesome things. Like I remember during one of the last cons, I can't remember which con was it. There was this guy who did this really good Resident Evil 2. I don't remember if it's Resident Evil 2 or what, but one of the Resident Evil, I think the last boss of the game there like has like a big eye that's moving around, and it was super good. There are a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that a lot of people take a picture, but I realized it's almost near the end of the event, even though he has been running around like the whole event for quite a while. Because I actually was noticing him. I crossed like a few sections and I did see this guy, and a lot of people would like kind of stare, but they don't actually go and take pictures. So it does catch the attention of other people, but at the same time, like as like I think Rikka mentioned about like some photographers are a bit shy, so it's a bit hard to get into that lah. So and then the other thing, okay, so now I'm gonna say people that who are not as awesome, just like me lah. Okay, I'm not so awesome, right? So first thing first, when you think about you feel bad that people don't really I'm not gonna say pay attention. I think it's like people don't notice you. Especially if you are just starting out, I think that it's something very normal to happen. But you need to remind yourself also, why are you cosplaying? Do you cosplay to have fun, or are you trying to cosplay to get your recognition? I'm not saying that getting recognition is bad. It's a good thing too. But that's where you channel your thoughts and your effort to. Let's say if you want to have fun, then why not focusing on the have fun part? Of course, feeling bad is always valid. It's normal, because sometimes I do feel too. I think my second time cosplaying, because my first time it was okay because there was a lot of friends around. Okay, that leads to another point that I'm going to talk about later. But first time cosplaying I was really okay. But second time I was cosplaying the hunter from Bloodborne, the video game Bloodborne. If you all know, people who know me will probably know that I like to play all those Dark Soulsy whatever game. So that's the things that I really like. So a lot of people went and said, "Oh, are you like X? Are you like Y?" But then it's not what I portray. And I thought I keep telling myself like, I think I did this cosplay quite accurate to that, right? I keep thinking like that. I'm not sure if it is, because it is not a very high budget cosplay. It might be a little bit off here and there, but I think I did my best lah, so to say. So it does make me feel a little bit bad, but then I tell myself like, okay, I'm here to have fun and I'm here to share what I love about the series. So a lot of people cosplay because they want to show their love to a character. So there's somebody likes Dragon Ball, they want to cosplay Goku. It's fine because they like it. Some people like Mashu, like Rikka likes Mashu, right? So Mashu, good, great. Then I tell myself, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna walk around, have fun, and end up. I think there was only one person actually. This one person that later on, I think that was the same person who actually did Dark Souls skits later on. I think it was him. He recognized and said, "Oh, you're like the guy from Bloodborne, right?" And I was like, "Oh yes, somebody actually recognized me." That that the whole like you don't the feeling is great, but
it's great.
Try to like not focus too much on that negative feeling, because at the end of the day, we all love cosplay because we love cosplay, not because we love other things, right? Yep. And yeah, so other advices, I think both our guests already mentioned. Photographers are okay. Try to approach more photographers. I can tell you right now that currently in our stream right now, there are actually a lot of photographers up there. Maybe you can actually try and get to know each other and stuff like that. That's great. Friends actually make a lot of negative things way less, like having fun with friends together at a cosplay con. That makes it way more tolerable, and at least you don't feel as bored, or you once your mind is empty and bored, you make a lot of space to have you to actually attract in negativity, you know. So that's one thing you can actually watch out for lah. Let's try to have some fun lah. Yeah. Okay.
It's a balance thing they have to find
Yeah, of course.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yep.
Of
Totally.
course. I really think that personally for me is at the end of the day it's what you want to achieve. Like Venus says, if what you think is fun is being popular and getting a lot of people to take your photos, then there's a market for it. If you want to have fun and do whatever it is that you feel like you want to do, then that's your choice to do it at the end of the day. So Pudds, any final opinions on this?
Yeah, to the person who said this, and you're self-conscious, you think that you're not being noticed and paid attention to, let me just remind you that there are more things that you can do than things that you cannot do. All right, so always look up. There's things like, I'm just going to be more practical here. There's things such as working on your stage presence. For example, when you're in, it's like, if you present yourself and your cosplay in like a very, I guess if you want to hide behind the wall, you don't want to show yourself, or you're just constantly like using your phone and shying away, then chances are that what you do will also affect like the amount of people that are noticing you. But if you're going all out with your cosplay, portraying your character well, as a higher chance that I guess photographers and other people will also pay attention to you, and that's how it works. Most of the time. Also, it's also important that you work on your craft. So, like Venus, said, well, like popular characters, high quality costumes, things around that. Sometimes
Sexy character.
Whoa.
Bleep, 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 toot, toot.
No lah.
I can't do that lah.
Check in on to what you want to portray. But if what you want to portray is like not getting you the attention, I guess you might have to look into what you're doing, your craft, maybe find ways to improve it, find ways to stand out, and most likely, more often than so, after you do that, there might be a little chance that you get noticed a little more. Yeah. So summing up like what the other guests have said, yes, there might also be other factors to why you're not being noticed. For instance, Rikka said that some photographers might be shy, and often more than so, yes, it does happen. So don't put all of the focus onto yourself. Like what I said just now was just like information and like feedback onto what you can improve, but do not beat yourself up if people don't notice. All right? Like we are all still one big community. Okay, so more things you can do than more things you can't do.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Pudds. Damon, I think from here on out, we're going to move to questions that are, well, not say the topics are darker, but they have more weight when we discuss on this. So for those who are watching, things are about to get a little bit more serious. Of course, that's subjective. But don't worry about it. It's okay. It's just to give a preface on it.
My
it's
line
quite...
is getting bad.
Oh no,
no!
Your cat is eating your LAN cable, is it? Okay, but in this case, it's basically topics that most people generally don't exactly want to touch upon. But hopefully for you guys, if you have any opinions on this, you're more than welcome to answer them. If you don't, that's completely understandable. So Damon, please take it away.
Yeah. This is actually I think it's quite important, especially to those who have cosplayed for quite a long time. So when it comes to working with things you're interested in, like streaming, cosplaying, etc., do you ever feel stressed from doing it and you just burn out? And does it ever like bring you down?
So we're gonna go on a volunteer basis. Who wants to answer this question?
I can, I guess.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Rikka, go ahead.
Please. So I'm actually a full-time nutritionist. And I think like if you guys are familiar with myself, you would know that I'm guesting for a lot of events. I take on commercial projects and I do other forms of cosplay jobs as well. So actually I do get stressed and I do get burnt out. Actually, this year, the beginning of this year and the end of last year, I was very, very burnt out, to be frank, because I was gunning for WCS. I was gunning for World Cosplay Summit and also other competitions. It's always a dream. It's not compulsory, by the way. So it's not something that you have to do in your cosplay journey. It's just something I wanted to do. So I was gunning for the competition, but it's very hard to juggle when you actually have a job, a 9 to 6 job, and then you come home, you're already tired, and say that you need to, because cosplay competitions, they are all about handcrafting, all about, you know, videos, audios. You have to do everything from scratch on your own. So that was like, it was very stressed out for me and my partner because we're both working. And then so I think like it will reach a point where you have to choose what you want to do and what you can do as well. So for myself, right, so like, I mean, work is work lah, like 100% of work. I don't get to say, I'm not good enough to sustain as a cosplayer, and I like to cosplay as a hobby more than as a full-time cosplayer for myself, because I like to do cosplays that I like per se lah. So then if you guys have followed me for a very long time, at the beginning I do streaming, I play a lot of games. So I pretty much stopped that. Like, I play very, very little to none games. I only do games that I really like, or mobile games, because they are more portable, and I do it as like a casual gamer, not like a hardcore gamer anymore. So that's where I have to cut off. Then for cosplays as well, like this year I actually made the decision where like I would stop taking projects that I feel that, you know, I have like a 50% liking per se, focus on my group projects, focus on my unfinished projects. And last year I focused mainly on competition. So I took a lot lesser on event guesting. So I think you have to make choices lah, what you want and what you have to choose. So yeah, I don't feel stressed out. Yeah, but I mean, it's all good. Like you have to sort it out at one point. So yeah, so it was like stress for a period of time, then, you know, work it out. Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah, you basically cross the bridge when it comes, because somewhere down the line it's gonna happen. Hopefully not, but you know, if it does, then you know, there's ways to take care of it. Right. So I think I saw Papakei raise his hand just now. Do you have any opinions?
Because I saw somebody saying about League of Legends, so I wanted to do like League of Legends with my mouth. No, okay. So it's okay if I go with this. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, right. Okay. So yeah. So I am I'm gonna say streamer lah. Sounds so like, but then I stream video games, but I think I do face a little bit of same problem about burnout, because like I mainly like to stream games like Dark Souls, but I mean the game is still fine, but I feel like I'm not very motivated to play a certain game because maybe I'm like this. Yeah, burnout is the word now. So sometimes you do have to find something new to do once in a while. It doesn't have to be something drastic, because once you do something drastic, sometimes you jump into something totally new and drastic, you will actually demotivate yourself even more, because you feel like, okay, this is something that you knew and you pick up, but you can't actually, you're not into that thing yet enough to actually have. There are some things you do have fun immediately when you touch, but then some things actually take a little bit of effort and time, so you actually get into the thing, then you can embrace it and have fun with it. Then it becomes like you burn out on this, you haven't even started this, you already burn out on that. So it's something that you may have to actually look into and find the balance between it. But at the same time, if you do feel burnout, do give yourself a break. I think usually a nice break would actually help a lot. So like I took like few months break on playing Dark Souls. My streams are also I'll just personally say this, it's like my streams aren't really on a very consistent schedule right now due to my work, because I work in compliance, and that's because it's a new job, so you know, I'm a bit more effort into it, so there's no real time for me to actually go and find a nice time and even the right mindset to actually start streaming. So that would it's kind of like, once you have a little bit of demotivation, it will slowly snowball into something really bad. So it would be nice if you could actually take a little time for yourself to break and then just think back, okay, I really like this, I really want to continue this, but somehow I feel burnt out. What should I do? So from there, what should I do? You should find things to I'm not going to say like find things to fill up time, but find ways to rejuvenate that interest. Find ways to actually put out the burnout part, you know, like instead of letting the fire grow and burn everything off, let's try and, you know, a little bit make it smaller, and then try to keep the fire of the negative fire, I'm not going to say like the fire of passion fire, okay, the negative fire down, so you could find yourself more open back to the idea of, yeah, I can start whatever I'm doing. Let's say can I start back cosplaying or start back streaming whatsoever. From there you can actually start back and just make sure that you try to prevent the negative snowballs from starting as soon as you can when you actually identify it yourself, because sometimes you do feel it immediately. So I think that's one thing lah.
Good, that's
So
good.
just make sure you give yourself breaks. Yeah.
Breaks.
Venus, do you have anything to say? Or you're still collecting your thoughts?
I think in whatever you do, right, there will be a phase of burnout, whether it's work or hobby or interest or even relationship. What I felt like you need to pace out yourself. I think when you feel burnout, it's because you're doing too much and getting too little out of it. So you need to just pace out. It's okay to walk away once in a while. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to cosplay this year. That means, oh, I will never cosplay again.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So just take a break, do it when you have time, which is probably why I'm not so active in cosplay anymore. But it doesn't mean I'm not a cosplayer. So I just cosplay whenever I can. So that's how you pace out lah. Don't get
That's
so
good, that's
frightened
good.
about it.
All right. So, Pudds, any last comments?
Yeah, I really resonate a lot with what Papakei said and like what Venus just said. Like, for me myself, like it's also been quite a long stretch that I haven't cosplayed frequently. I used to do like 10 costumes a year, but last year I only did like 2. And yeah, that's also to like
I only have one.
It's okay. I think whatever it is, right? We can't beat like the level of Rikka when she does her cosplays, and we also cannot beat the level when Papakei pulls out Gaben, man. Tak boleh
No,
nak.
no.
I think like
It's one time.
It depends a bit on the personality as well, right?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
I cannot like once I get the adrenaline rush, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you snowball into a perfect run of what you want to do. At least you can push yourself, keep doing, instead of
Yeah.
doing it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my burnt outs are really bad lah. Like actually,
Understandable. Don't worry. Just like Venus says, everybody goes through burnout, and I'm pretty sure you can manage it well. Hopefully. All right. So, is there anything else? Pudds?
Okay, to this person out there, if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling burnout, or if you're concerned, or you just want to ask this question in general, I think like a good response from all of us is just a good advice maybe back to you is you find what you are passionate about doing. You take good breaks for yourself, and if some things just don't work for you, it's okay to just do what you like. Yeah.
Okay.
Just go with your flow, and there's no pressure, and just take it easy like yourself.
Okay. All right. So, thank you so much for that, Pudds. Really appreciate your words, and thank you everyone else. So we have one more question that's in the deep side of it. It's actually a little bit of a complicated question, so I'm gonna help you in rewording it. So here's what was submitted. I always love to go to conventions and take photos with my friends, gamers, popular artists, etc. when I go to ACG events. Problem is, I feel a bit nervous about socializing with friends and others because this is what he stated, because I have autism and I don't want to do anything to make other people uncomfortable. Is there any tips you can provide me on how can I socialize with people at ACG events without hurting anyone's feelings? Okay, so this was submitted, but I'm going to reword it in a way where I think it'll be easier for you guys to understand. So it doesn't have to be strictly autism. So instead of it, it's like, to paraphrase, it's like, this person, yes, Kat. This
He wants to
Uh,
answer.
they love going to ACG events, interacting and socializing with others. However, maybe because of either their own personality, or they feel that that the kind of person that they are can't exactly click with others, or they're afraid that no matter what they do, other people will still look at them in a bad light. So it gives them this insecurity and anxiety to socialize with other people. So do you think that you have anything that you can say in regards to this? Yeah. Bit of hard one, right?
It's
This is
very
actually
difficult.
Yeah, I
very
understand.
difficult.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can I go
Okay,
first?
I'm just gonna go ahead. Oh, okay, go.
Okay, Venus, no. Okay,
No, you know what?
Papakei,
Venus.
go first.
Okay, so
Venus says Papakei, go ahead. Yeah.
all right, I will take the blow. First things first. Because you did mention about this is specifically to the person who asked this question. You did mention that you have autism, and I'm not going to say anything wrong with that because there's a percentage of people that will have it, and it's it's part of nature. So I feel like if you can, please don't feel bad about it because there are there's different levels of it, right? But then I can see that at least you have friends to go out with. This is the most important thing. You have your own circle of friends, right? If you're not sure, it is best that you can actually share your feelings with your friends. I understand that this might be a little bit hard as well, because sometimes you have to worry that am I going to worry my friends? I mean, this I can tell you, even I have that feeling sometimes. But if it's possible, try to find somebody to share your feelings with. And it does come down to a lot of experience as well, because sometimes, especially you young people, I'm going to say you young people because I'm not that young, right?
Oh, really?
Excuse me.
Okay. Sorry.
You underage
Sorry,
piece
Kak.
of toot.
Sorry, Kak. So it does come, interacting with people does come with a little bit of experience, no matter what people say, because sometimes it's when you do a mistake, then you know that, oh, I actually did something wrong. Then when you know that you did something wrong, then you know that there's already something wrong there, right? Then you'll find a way to actually try and fix it. Please, if you do feel that way, you should fix it lah. But given the situation, now I'm going to go with a more general situation, right? You feel that you might be a bit nervous interacting with people, then you could start with hanging with your closer friends. If you have friends to go to cons, that'll be great. That's like way more enjoyable if you can have friends to go with. And slowly through friends, you get to know more friends. That's personally what I do. Usually it's like, most of these people around here, I could tell you, like, I get to know, and I'm very lucky to get to know all these people here through friends, and we are all I would say like we're kind of tight, man. Like brotherhoods, right? But spending time with people does sometimes give you that feeling of nervousness, and it's not wrong. I really want to validate this feeling for you. It is not wrong to feel that way, and it's good that you acknowledge that you have this feeling. Yet, one way to really fix it is to actually try and go out a bit more, but do not force yourself to try and have a place. Like, some people like to position themselves in the middle. It's not that it's not a bad thing per se, but at the same time sometimes you need to gauge where is it fair for me to go into this step, or maybe I should hang out a bit and look at the situation. Because observing the situation is very important, no matter what you do in a social situation, when you're at work, or even in a game also. These are things that you actually have to look out for a bit. So you might want to try that first. Observation is very important. And yet, is there anything that I miss out?
I think that's okay for now.
I think that's about it.
Let's allow other people to speak. So Venus, you want to say something?
I'm going to give the manual straight is keep it short and simple. Don't go into detail. Like, you don't meet new people and straight away, hey, what's the number, where you stay, where you work as. Just go straight
Very
and simple.
important.
Like what character you're cosplaying is, what character is this. No physical. Please don't go physical regardless what. Handshake also no. Try not to unless you're quite close. And then like Papakei says, start off with your friend's friends. So if it's friend's friend, it's easier for them to explain to their friends about your situation. So it starts from there. Just remember that you cannot control how other people feel or how they behave, but you can control how you feel and how you behave. Don't take everything personally. Sometimes people might just, do something and then they don't give much thought about it. So likewise, don't get offended. Not everything is done on purpose, Because I feel like there are certain more people a bit more sensitive. We tend to overthink stuff. So yeah, maybe start from there. But keep it short and simple first. Don't straight away like, full force. I want to be your friend.
Yeah. May I add a little bit of this thing? So
cannot.
Man. So okay. Understandably that everybody is excited when you go to a con, right? But you have to find a way to restrain yourself in that interest. Like, yes, let's say like I like FGO for example. Okay. Can't say if I like it or not, lucky. But I like FGO. Let's say I see Rikka, so I get like, excited. Oh yeah, Rikka is cosplaying Mashu and stuff like that. But you also have to understand that yes, you are excited. Other people are also excited, but there are different levels among other people having that kind of how they portray their excitement. So try to go slow. That's one important way. Don't jump into it. Yes, I understand you really like it, you're passionate about it, but go slow, because sometimes it might come as a bit overbearing. So just to be really, really careful about that. So just take it one step at a time. People will be understanding if you try to be way more open and understanding about it. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Papakei. Rika, do you have any opinions in regards to this?
Yeah, I think this is a very, very difficult question to answer generally because it really depends on what circumstances the person asking the question or like his family or his or her family, things like this. Generally, I would say one thing I give credit for is that, okay, although I don't speak for everyone, like I feel like different people, as Venus mentioned, different people have different thresholds to a lot of different things, so it's a bit difficult to say how the receiver would react. But I think to be fair, the ACG community in Malaysia is very empathetic. They are all pretty nice in regards to a lot of matter. But what Papakei and what Venus mentioned lah, I do agree with both. Like, start with your friends, or if you actually have someone, a person you trust, a friend, you could actually bring your friend together with you to the event. Just kind of like, just let him or her know, let your friend know if you think I'm actually crossing the line, hold me back, tell me about it and I'll stop. Things like this. And then also like of course I always start small, like what Venus said, just to simple and short, don't no touchy, things like that. I think one thing that it will help is generally just not to be too pushy about things, and it's all okay. I think it's a very hard question. I feel.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it too much. At the end of the day, we're just trying to see on what your opinions are on this, and it's a complicated topic with no definite answer, so you don't have to worry too much.
But I feel like what we can do as well is like sometimes like I feel like it's okay to say as well if you are not too comfortable with,
of course,
any kind of situation you're in. You can just, you don't have to do it in like a very mean way or be like very like paiseh, like agent always like I don't want to say, but later I play victim. Sorry. I mean like you can. I feel like that's something that we can actually help to alleviate the situation. You can just say, I'm not very comfortable with this. Perhaps we can, propose an alternative, or like, I think it really helps. Cause like for myself also, at the beginning I was also very awkward with difficult situations, I would say. But I felt like, by being very wishy-washy about it, it didn't help me that much. So I think what we can also do to help is perhaps we can, just be a bit more forward about it as well.
Make it clear to them as well.
Because in a polite way.
Well, I mean, understanding is a two-way street. So just as you want to understand them, they have to understand you as well. Exactly. All right. So thank you so much for your opinions. I think that was really great. Pudds, is there anything that you want to say?
I want to address like some people out there. I know autism has a very like large, I guess, spectrum. That's what you call it, right? Some people who are on one end of the spectrum might not be the same as the people on the other end of the spectrum. How you behave and the way you think. Like we understand that sometimes the things you do are like not in your control. For example, like ADHD. It's like, it's autism. You can't control being hyperactive or this, like, I guess it's symptoms you can't control. But I think an advice to give to you, knowing that you have symptoms like this, please go and have some, like, I'm not promoting medication, by the way, but if you can avoid or like not tone it down. Wait, politically correct. If you need to go out, you have to do something for yourself, and it will help you in the long run. Maybe another advice is also to keep check consciously about rules and regulations of convention, like what the other guests have said, being too touchy, being too pushy. These are things that you need to keep in check constantly. Just remind yourself, do not cross the line, especially if you have like autism. So but of course we're not condemning you. We like I want to tell you, like, upfront, do not be ashamed of yourself if you have autism. It's not something you can control, and it may bring a lot of disadvantages into your life, but it shouldn't stop you from doing what you love to do and feeling what you want to feel. All right. And it's okay if you need to tell people that you have autism as well. They're not going to think you're crazy, you're like dumb or anything. Like, you know the Malay proverb, tak kenal maka tak cinta, you know?
Wow.
Ooh, wow.
If people don't know that you have, like, you're going through something like this, it's hard for them to empathize and understand you and what you're doing. So, okay, it's not like I'm telling you to go up to someone and like shake their hand like, hi, I have autism. Like,
Yeah.
Understand me.
if anyone asks or if anyone looks confused or anything, it's okay to say, oh, I'm sorry if I offended you. I'm suffering from this, and I have some problems with it. And a small story, but this happened last year during cosplay comic fiesta, CF, right? Okay, so I was outside the hall, I was walking, and this guy approached me. It's a very familiar person, like he came to a lot of like Magic Rain events before, so I've seen him, and like my first impression was that he's very eccentric, very outgoing, very funny, very slightly, I guess, pushy, but like for me, my tolerance is high, so I can take it. But like I always thought that he was just doing it out of habit. I didn't know that he had real autism until like he approached me that day and shook my hand. Then I looked at his tag. He was wearing this tag, and at the bottom of the tag, it was something for like autism, like kurang upaya, that kind of thing. So immediately, like I pieced the puzzle, like, oh, so this is because of that, and you know, understanding creates empathy, and at that moment, it's like, oh, I understand that you have this problem. So yeah, to that person out there, like, it's really good of an initiative that you wore that tag out for a convention, because you know you're trying to get people to understand you. So yeah, anyways, just to wrap it up, do not be ashamed of yourself, okay?
All right, thank you so much for that. I think we have time for like one more question, but we'll keep it short. I do want to give a little bit of my own opinion on this topic itself. It's not exactly, and it's not a positive opinion on it, but it's more like, because like I said, understanding is a two-way street. So even if you're suffering from some form of like mental illnesses, or whatever form of disability, or maybe personality disorder, whatever it is, it does not give you an excuse to not try to understand where the other side is coming from. All right, just like everyone said, I think Rikka especially mentioned it, everyone has different thresholds. Ines has also mentioned this. You yourself have to find the initiative to improve as a person, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Yeah, sure, some of us may lack in certain aspects, but that does not change the fact that we should all strive to be the better people than we are currently. Okay, so don't use an excuse just because you're suffering from something. Everyone and anyone is struggling somewhere, some point. So we should all try our best to help each other, and don't use excuses. All right.
Yeah, no excuses. And also, sorry that I cut in, but then I'm just going to mention that everyone else, we should also try to be understanding at the same time. Yeah. Just because somebody has a problem or what, so try not to immediately push someone. It is okay to say no, but also it is fine to be understanding.
Okay. All right. So this actually is a very final question. It's just towards I think Damon, this is a special question. Not everyone has to answer this. Damon, take it away.
Okay, this is a very important question that I would direct only to Papakei.
Okay.
The question is, are you still single?
Yes.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Venus,
Super single and ready to mingle, man. Please PM him.
PM Tepi, I'm free after.
PM Tepi.
Okay, that wraps it up. Yeah. Is there anything you want to say? You want to say something?
Nah, okay. Wait, you mean me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you want to say
What's
something?
your age, what you work at, how much you earn?
So hi, my name is Papakei. I
I
am 30, going 31 right now, but I'm still single, as you can see. If not, I wouldn't be looking like a sham like that, right? But yeah, so if you really are interested, you can be a B2B lah.
Okay, yeah, we just wanted to do that just to lighten the mood. We just wanted to lighten the mood at the end there.
Don't go all darky kind of stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
don't end with a dark tone on it. But ladies and
totally fine on my course.
Thank you to our guests that are here. Really, really appreciate your time. Is there anything?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, just to wrap up, to all the people who have submitted your requests earlier, and if we didn't look through them in this live stream, we apologize because due to the short time frame, we are unable to read everything. But thank you so much for sending it in. We might review it later in the future for you, all right? And also, to everyone who has heard from us today, whether or not our opinions are, I say, beneficial, or maybe it might have hurt you, we are sorry and we apologize in advance. Like, everything that we are saying here is just our personal feedback and advice. Everyone has different, opinions, ma. So yeah, in the end, we just hope that you gain something positive from this session. All right?
All right, thank you so much once again. Thank you to our guests for coming here and giving your opinions. I think either way, at the end of the day, your opinions, someone will hear them, and hopefully they will improve themselves. But thank you, and thank you to everyone else who's watching this segment as well. So let's give them all a good bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kat. Bye.